back for round two, and I didn't have this planned, but I decided to continue with Saw. And I watched this yesterday, and let's talk about Saw 3 and Suffering. You haven't seen anything yet. Yeah, I win. So, this is the third entry that was released in 2006. And, in my opinion, one of the best entries thus far. And then this franchise just derails. In my opinion, this is like the last great Saw movie. So it's going to be interesting going forward. But let's get into Saw 3. And this movie begins with Eric Matthews still trapped and shackled in the bathroom in the first one. And this movie just literally begins very, very dark. The only light you see is like a flashlight. And he's still reeling from his captive state. And he tries to find a way to free himself. He almost decides to do the same fate that Lawrence Gordon did in the first one, which he cut off his foot with a hacksaw. But he got a little bit smart here. He actually broke his foot with a toilet lid, and it's shown in very graphic detail. This is the way to open a Saw movie, because it's very simple but very effective. Now, the real first trap in here is a pretty gnarly one, I should say. This takes place in like a classroom, and the man's name is Troy, and I guess he's like an escaped convict who became a teacher, but you just see him like chained with his like mouth, his shoulder blades, his arms, his ankles. All he has to do to free himself is free himself from the chains before a bomb goes off. 1 minute to do it. He comes so close, but no cigar. Blood and guts everywhere. And there's also the angel trap in here that is dealt upon Carrie, which is like a detective that worked directly by Eric Matthews. She actually gets it in the beginning of this movie. I forgot about that. To me, that trap really stands out in this movie, because she has like this contraption that's like connected to her rib cage, and all she has to do to free herself is reach into a vat of acid for the key before it melts. All she had to do. But that trap was definitely unwinnable. She came close, but she just couldn't get it. And then pretty good gnarly stuff there. But now getting on to the actual story of this movie. This features like a father who is grieving the death of his son, that got hit by like a drunk driver. So he is the next test subject for Jigsaw. And he has like 3 tests. His first test is to unlock this woman in a freezer, and she is completely nude, and there's just like water just spraying all over her, and all he had to do is like reach for like a key. He couldn't get to it, so boop. And then the second test was freeing this judge from like a slaughterhouse in a way. He's just like laying down in this trough, and there's just like all sorts of pigs just coming out, and they just like drop into like this wood chipper thing, and it's just sludge. That's probably one of the grossest saw traps in all these movies. And the final test is facing the actual drunk driver who killed this guy's son. And the trap really stands out. It's one of the most brutal traps in this whole series. And that's the rack. This guy is just like basically like this, and there's just like gears that just like rotate around, and it twists his limbs. It's almost like being quartered in a way. That is one of the hardest traps to watch. It's just, ugh. But it turns out this is the last movie that has Jigsaw and Amanda alive. And Jigsaw is basically on his deathbed. And his test was to keep this guy's wife alive so she could operate on him. But Amanda just doesn't like that, and she's more of an antagonistic force in here. I mean, she comes up with like most of these traps, and she makes them very unwinnable. Especially the angel trap. There was no way she could have got out of that. But the guy's name is Jeff, I believe. He survives all these tests to endure one more, and that is trying to save his wife. Well, that doesn't end very well. He gets revenge on Jigsaw, and he also shoots Amanda in the neck. So his wife had like this shotgun collar around her neck, and it was only synced to Jigsaw's heartbeat. And if Jigsaw died, kablamo. And that's a very, very good gnarly death there. I tell you what, that final scene is just gross and very delicious. I'm a psycho. But this movie is basically like 3 tasks leading into like the final resolution, which makes this a very, very great standout in the original Saw trilogy. And this has an opportunity of making my top 50. I do consider the first Saw trilogy modern horror classics. But after Saw 3, this franchise just goes off a cliff. Now, I do enjoy Saw 6. That's one of the better ones, but I'll get into that later. But right now, I would honestly give Saw 3 an A as well. So, another good entry that has some of the most standout traps in the entire franchise. And those are my thoughts on Saw 3. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I got one more movie to talk about. And it's going to be my next horror pick. And it's not really a traditional horror movie. It's more of a horror comedy that I've come to like really, really love. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you my thoughts on that particular movie here in a minute. But otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you guys in a minute. Adios. Peace.